I think Tilly, our production designer, still has the rat. I was like, we finished filming and I was like, oh, well, let's burn it. It felt like only right to like douse it in petrol and light it on fire. And she was like, oh no, I'm going to keep it. You never know when this will be useful. I'm like, girl, what are you filming where you need this? Like, hey, I'm Callum. I'm an independent filmmaker based in Brisbane, known as Mianjin. I'm a director, graduated last year, and I've just finished up my second project, All These Faces. Theda was my graduate project at uni, so I directed that one, and it's a surreal sort of horror film about a girl who gets taken out by her partner to a cottage in the middle of nowhere, and sort of grapples with themes of worrying about who you become, the idea of destiny and hope, and it sort of explores when a relationship breaks apart, how it can be seen by each person in so many different forms. It was a lot of fun, man. Like, it was, the structure of uni meant it was written over a long time. So the first draft came out really quick. That was when we were sort of in the conceptualizing phase. So we had weekly deadlines where we had to present versions of the script or versions of the pitch. So there was sort of a fast turnaround that was needed for that. And then once the film got slated and we were actually into production, it had that was like, I think, where most of the change was, because it went from something which was conceptual and something that you're just dreaming up and you're wanting to pitch the best thing possible to get people invested. And then when you realize, oh, this thing's actually going to be made, what sacrifices do you need to make it actually achievable? So like the first version had like cars exploding and chainsaws and like all of these like silly, crazy things because I wanted to make something silly and crazy. And then when we actually got down, sat down with a producer and the teachers and everything, and we went, okay, what can we reasonably achieve? We had to like sort of look at the film with a bit more maturity, I guess. Confidence is key, my main takeaway, I think. I think working with other directors and seeing how they work and then reflecting on my process during Theda, it was all about, if someone had a question for you, being able to answer it fast meant that people had confidence in you. But also like have fun. Like I was so stressed making Theda. Like it was just like every day on set I was just like freaking out. And I was like, you obviously can't show that, but I think you can get so caught up in trying to think of what should I be doing or what would a professional director do that you sort of forget to like have a bit of fun and try new things. My line to people telling them about it is it's a film about desire, and it's a surreal film about a cinema worker and sort of confronting weird customers. And when someone tells you something that's strange that you don't know, I think it prompts you to look within yourself, and you don't really know what like dark things you can find. Cronenberg has been like, David Cronenberg has been huge sort of as from the body horror element of the film, and Julia Ducournau, who's done Raw and Titan. Those are like two of my favorite films ever, and the way that she sets up the world and the given circumstances is so interesting. Yorgos Lanthimos does it a lot as well. Like The Lobster is like a hysterical film. I think that's like a really funny film, and the way that establishes the rules of the world is really interesting too. So All These Faces is attempting to take that idea of these things just happen. Sometimes things just happen, and depending on where you are or what universe you sit in, that might just be like a normal thing. So it's not exceptional, it's just how it is. All These Faces is an example of a film that like probably shouldn't have existed, but it does for some reason. So we shot that film with like $3.5 grand or something, which is like, in terms of like relative to film, very, very low budget. You can obviously make films for less, but the sort of things which we wanted, where we needed crazy SFX, we needed prosthetic stuff, we needed, you know, like the zooming is an expensive thing because not many people own zoom lenses, so there's stuff you need to hire. All of these things were happening where we set up all of these things, we put in estimates on how much we knew that they cost, and we ended up with like 8-9 grand. And we're going, oh, okay. How many friends do we have who can help out with the SFX, help out with the prosthetic stuff? What talented young actors can we find that would be willing to volunteer their time for the project? Crew, like which people believe in me and believe in the idea enough to volunteer their time to do it. And then from there we just like made it up. Like, yeah, with the camera, we had my camera as an option, but we also had this dream of shooting it on an Arri. So we just sort of pulled out all of the strings, and Michael ended up contacting SAE and getting them to sponsor the project, which was crazy. The broadcast hire were kind enough to give us a crazy discount on the lens. Everything that like went into that. Oh, the locations were all free, which was crazy. Like, we didn't have to pay for any of the locations. All of these like miraculous things were happening that took the cost down so much to where it was affordable. We didn't actually have to make any sacrifices on how we were telling the story. Shooting all these faces was really fun, but it was also like hell, because a lot of the stuff we were shooting was after hours. So we were shooting at like cinemas, and the cinema closes at 10, so we can only get in at 10 p.m. And then we'd shoot until like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then leave when the sun's coming up. I mentioned before Julia Ducournau, Titan and Raw are like my... Titan is my like, I think indistinguishably like my favorite film. A lot of people struggle to like put a film down in that category, but like there's never been something which has made me feel the things that film made me feel. I've also been similarly impacted by like Nomadland. Like, that's another film which really hit me in the chest. That was really cool. Hereditary was a big like foundation film for me. I think like I watched Hereditary, like a cracked version of the film on my laptop in like grade 9, in like the middle of the night with headphones on. And that is like, I've seen the film in IMAX, and I still think watching it on a laptop with headphones is like the way to experience that film. There's a lot of next things. I'm DPing a couple projects this year. There's one which I'm writing and DPing. I'm shooting a film for my friend Seth in like a month or so, which is going to be really exciting. That's sort of a surreal film. It's very like homoerotic, and it's going to be like so magical. And then I'm producing a fashion film for another one of my friends, Honey. She's a filmmaker from Brisbane, and she's graduated from Griffith like a couple years ago as well. So she's really cool. I'm doing a bit of writing for a film at the moment, which my partner Sinead will be directing, which is about a girl going through a loss, and it's set in a world exactly like our own, but 30 years in the future, where every soul that is brought into the earth is actually a reincarnation of a soul that passed away long ago. I think it's already moving in the way that I want it to move. It's been like a crazy couple years for Australian films, and since COVID, there's been a lot of movement to Australia in super high budget stuff, but I think from that there is more of a recognition of how talented Australian filmmakers are. Like, historically, we've got so many like crazy people. We've got like recently the Philippe brothers, we've got Jennifer Kent, we've got like, these are all horror-centric people. Like, you know, there's also been Late Night with the Devil. There's all of these Australian sort of experimental leaning or more art house horror films that have been exploding internationally.
Anything else to say or shout out?
Not really, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Check out all these faces.
Yeah, dude, check it out on Instagram, allthesefaces.film. There's like a lot of funky photos going up there. There'll be some stills from the film, etc. But yeah, keep looking.
Cool, sweet, bro.
It's screaming at you.